down three. Should the Bulls foul? No. Anthony for three. Bang!
It's not a secret that Carmelo Anthony is one of the greatest scorers in the modern NBA. We've seen our fair share of great scorers, but few have the same abilities and complete repertoire of scoring skills that Melo comes with. There are only a handful of players who are arguably better scorers, but Melo has proved many times that he could hang with the best that league history has to offer. And it was during the 2012-13 season that he proved he was a scoring machine that could never be stopped.
Melo and reach here for three more. No, he's not going to pass that up.
He carried the Knicks to a 54-28 record and the Atlantic Division crown. He did it while leading the league at 28.7 points per game. He added 6.9 rebounds and 2.6 assists and played 37 minutes a night. The scoring title mattered because it came against Kevin Durant in his prime. The gap stayed tight into late April. Melo stayed hot when it counted and closed the race in the final week. The roster around him fit his game. Mike Woodson used him at power forward in many lineups. That spacing transformed the offense and made the floor feel wide. Tyson Chandler rolled hard and vacuumed rebounds. J.R. Smith attacked second units and won Sixth Man of the Year. Jason Kidd steadied the ball and spaced the corners. Raymond Felton ran high pick and roll. Pablo Prigioni was crafty and careful with the ball. Iman Shumpert returned in January and brought defense on the perimeter. Opening night at the Garden set the tone. Miami came in with LeBron James and championship buzz. The Knicks blitzed them with threes and quick decisions. Melo scored 30 and looked sharp and strong. He drilled catch-and-shoot jumpers. He hit pull-ups over late contests. He slipped into the post for quick spins when Miami switched small. The message was clear. If you guard Carmelo with one man, he is getting a good shot. The first month brought a road win in San Antonio. That one felt like a stamp because it came against a machine. The ball moved from side to side and Melo picked his spots. He jabbed. He read the big. He rose when the defender leaned. That patient approach stayed constant on his best nights. He played from the triple threat and kept the defense guessing. December brought another Miami game and another statement.
And Anthony the man to get it. Anthony goes to James, goes in and lays it in.
New York won big on the road. Melo piled up 30 before leaving with a cut. Threes poured in around him. Kidd, Felton, and Smith all cashed open looks. You could feel how his gravity worked. The attention he drew tilted the floor. Help came early from the elbows, and the corners were open. That formula did not change. Christmas Day in Los Angeles brought a different kind of show. The Lakers beat the Knicks. Melo still gave 34 with a mix of power and touch. He ripped through meta world peace on one possession, then floated a soft banker on the next. Kobe Bryant nodded at him after a tough make. Even in defeat, you saw how he could pick any spot and get the shot he wanted. January turned messy for a minute. The rivalry with the Celtics boiled over. Kevin Garnett pushed buttons and the trash talk spilled past the buzzer. Melo waited by the team bus and the league sat him out for one game. He came back with focus. The points kept coming in steady waves. Baseline fades felt like practice shots. Above the break threes felt routine. He hunted mismatches on switches and refused to waste dribbles. The identity solidified as the schedule tightened. Low turnovers, a flood of threes, force you to make choices. When you shaded to Melo, the pass went to the perimeter. When you stayed home, he went to work with jab steps, shoulder fakes, and that high release. Amari Stoudemire found rhythm in pick and pop. Chandler missed time with neck issues, but anchored the paint when he played. Shumpert chased scorers. The pieces fit now. His scoring toolkit read like a menu with no bad options. Those movies included catch and shoot from either wing, one dribble pull-up from the top, and fadeaway shots over either shoulder on the left block. He also added quick spin to the baseline from the mid-post, bumps and step-throughs on smaller forwards, and trail three in early offense. It was all there, and it came out based on the coverage. If a big switched onto him, he pulled up. If a guard got stuck on his hip, he backed on them using his size and strength.
Melo joining the play. Got them all! Carmelo Anthony!
Efficiency mattered because the volume was heavy. He took 22 shots a night and still kept his true shooting in the mid-50s. He hit 30% from three and over 80% from the line. He kept turnovers low. The Knicks finished first in turnover rate. Every Melo isolation ended in a shot with a chance. There were no wasted sequences with blind passes into traffic. When the ball came back to him at the end of the clock, he created something. The season held highlight tapes inside the larger reel. The night in Brooklyn in December stands out. He dropped 45 and sealed it late with cold jumpers. The Barclays crowd went quiet. Another night that sticks is the trip to Oklahoma City in April. He scored 36 and the Knicks won a track meet against Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. He worked from the elbows and the trail spot and kept answering runs with pull-ups. Those wins fed belief. Then came the week that locked the scoring crown and turned the city giddy. April 2nd in Miami. LeBron and Dwayne Wade sat, but the stage was still bright. Melo hit shot after shot and finished with 50. The broadcast noted that he scored all his points outside the paint. It looked like a clinic for wings. The next night in Atlanta, he put up 40. 2 nights later, he scored 41 on Milwaukee. Those were 3 straight games of scoring 40 or more. That was classic Melo. That stretch sat inside a larger heater. From mid-March through early April, the Knicks won 13 straight. It was their longest run since the mid-90s. Melo averaged well over 30 in that span on strong efficiency. The ball hummed. Smith had his best stretch of the year. Prigioni joined the starters and everything got crisp. Early drag screens, swing twice, and corner 3. Then back to Melo when it tightened. You could feel the confidence rise with every clean catch and every pull-up that splashed. Zone by zone, the map looked simple. He destroyed defenses from the right elbow. He liked the left block for the fade. He used the top of the key 3 as a release valve. Playing as a stretch 4 kept help at bay. When teams tried to trap, he slipped it and made the next play. His reads were simple and fast. He hit the corner, reposted, cut through, and got the ball back with 9 seconds left on the clock. And as soon as he rose up, it was nylon. His footwork showed why those shots kept falling. The jab step kept defenders frozen. He would jab once and wait. He would jab again and read the shift on the front foot. If it opened the lane, he drove middle and floated in. If it didn't, he took one escape dribble and fired. On the baseline, he loved to show the middle, then spin back and rise. His core strength allowed him to create a small pocket of space. That same balance showed when he absorbed contact to the chest and still kept his release clean. The Knicks clinched the division in early April. The Garden crowd roared like the old days. It had been a long time since that banner meant something. The bracket set them up with Boston in the first round. The Celtics series started with Melo in full attack mode. He scored 36 in Game 1 and 34 in Game 2. The shot mix looked familiar. Elbow jumpers, quick post-ups on Brandon Bass, pull-up 3s when Avery Bradley got caught on a screen. The Knicks went up 3-0 and the series felt over. Then J.R. Smith was suspended for Game 4 for an elbow to Jason Terry. Boston extended the series. Game 5 turned strange because the Knicks wore black outfits to the arena. The message backfired because the Celtics won again. However, in Game 6, Melo did just enough to send the Celtics packing, allowing the Knicks to beat Boston and make it to the second round. Then there was Indiana. The Pacers waited with size and patience. Paul George took the main assignments. Roy Hibbert anchored the paint. Indiana flooded the elbows and dared the Knicks to make 3s. The rhythm that felt smooth for months turned sticky. The iconic play of the series came when Melo split a trap and rose for a right-hand dunk. Hibbert met him and turned it away at the rim. That single stop felt like a mood shift. New York fell in 6. Melo still got points, but the efficiency dipped and the late-game shots felt heavy, even for someone of Melo's caliber. It was basically a one-man scoring performance from the best scorer in the league that season. But it simply wasn't enough.
Nice move from Felton. Kicks it out. Anthony for 3. Puts it in.
Even with that rough finish, the larger point stands. The regular season showed how unstoppable he could be when a roster is built around his strengths. The spacing at the 4 opened the floor. The mix of pick and roll and ISO let him toggle between decision maker and finisher. The quick sets fit his timing. Simply put, nothing felt forced for Melo in what was the most effortless scoring season he ever had. Shot profile helps explain why it lasted. He didn't live at the rim the way some stars do. He lived in the middle and behind the arc. That's a harder diet for most players. He made it a good diet by hunting early looks and by using strength to earn free throws when the jumper cooled. He averaged over 7 free throws a game. He got to the line with craft, not by forcing physicality or using questionable fakes. Instead, he simply forced the defense to foul him by using crafty moves that would have forced defenders to jump or do anything humanly possible to try and stop him. His work on the glass mattered too. Playing the 4 meant he had to help end possessions. He grabbed almost 7 boards a game, and many were in traffic. Those boards often turned into push opportunities. Melo liked to bring it himself in those spots. 2 hard dribbles to the middle, a look ahead to the wing. If no advantage showed, he stepped into a transition 3. Those pull-ups hurt teams because they came before the defense could match up. Defense in that season needs an honest look. He was not an all-defensive player. He was not asked to be one. He did what the scheme needed. He walled up on the block against smaller and bigger players alike. He tagged the roll man when the guard fought over. He finished possessions with hard box outs. The Knicks built a top-tier defense with that mix. Chandler erased mistakes at the rim. Schumpert and Ronnie Brewer chased shooters early. Later in the year, kids soaked up smart minutes on second units. Melo held his own and saved his best juice for the last stretches of games, allowing him to ultimately win the scoring title.
Backing in, leads up, nice move, Carmelo Anthony.
More importantly, everyone around the team talked about his routine. He did extra work after practice. He used the empty arena to repeat the same footwork and the same shots he loved. These were the right elbow and left block jump shots, and even the corner 3. He used these chances to master the one dribble pull-up to the middle from a post entry. That repetition showed when the lights hit. He did not need to find rhythm. Instead, he brought the rhythm with him. In turn, the city responded. You could hear it on trains and in lines outside the building. The old names came back into the chat. Ewing, Oakley, Starks. Now there was Melo in that group of scorers who made the Garden hum. Every time he hit a heat check 3, you could feel the roof lift. The awards told the same story. Melo finished 3rd in MVP voting behind LeBron James and Kevin Durant. He ultimately ruined LeBron's chances of winning the MVP unanimously because of his dominant efforts that season. He made the All-NBA second team. He started the All-Star game. He carried more than scoring totals. He carried a franchise that had been searching for a modern identity. That matters when you talk about the best scorers of this era. One wrinkle mattered in the spring. The tiny starting group with Felton and Prigioni together lifted the offense. 2 handlers kept the ball hopping and pulled help away from strong side actions. Schumpert or Smith filled the wing. Melo played the 4 and Chandler screened and dove. That group won by hitting early 3s and by stripping help from Melo's drives. He also played through pain late. The left shoulder took a beating in April and bothered him through the playoffs. After the season, the team said it was a partial labrum tear. You could see it in a few finishes that came up short. He still drew 2 to the ball in the 4th. He still flashed the 3 to the dome after big makes when the Garden shook. He did that all season long. His big matchups played like time capsule stuff that could last for decades in the highlight reels.
Out to Felton, good ball movement. Carmelo for 3, that's 9.
Durant was taller and longer. Melo was thicker and more grounded. They traded tough makes. Against LeBron, he used strength and angles and a quick release to carve space. Those games felt like heavyweight rounds. Some craft details jump off the screen. He used a live dribble only when needed. He preferred triple threat because it shortened the path from decision to release. He was quick with his gather. He stepped into his 3s with square shoulders, even when his feet were slightly offline. He used re-screens to make bigs retreat. He made small contact on the hip to gain a path to the middle. Put it together, and you get a scorer who wastes nothing. His quarters had a clear rhythm. First quarters tested coverage and set a tone. Second quarters protected leads while bench units mixed in. Third quarters often held his best bursts. That was when he hunted 3 or 4 straight trips at the elbow. Fourth quarters depended on the defense, but he always took the big shots. Usage tells you about the load. He lived in the mid-30s and still kept turnovers low. Each trip ended with a shot you could live with. People might call that ball stopping. In this case, it was ball deciding. He used the ball to reach a makeable look or a clean kick. Teammates trusted that feel. It's easy to say he was a scorer and leave it there. That label is accurate, but it undersells 2012 to 2013. He was a scorer who solved different puzzles every night. He solved small defenders by going big on the block. He solved big defenders by facing up and playing in space. He solved traps by slipping and firing to the corner. He solved end-of-clock problems by living with tough makes that most players cannot reach.
And you get it to this guy.
Carmelo Anthony spins away from pressure.
Young wings can still learn from that film. Watch the footwork, the balance, and the deep desire to outscore everyone. You can also learn from the value of being strong with the ball without wasted dribbles and the understanding of when to move it and when to keep it. People sometimes ask what could have been if that team had stayed healthy or if one or two bounces had gone the other way. You ask that only when a player is good enough to take you there. He was. He put that on tape from October through May. He reminded everyone that a big wing who can shoot and bruise and rise can still control a game. That year did not end with a parade. What it did was settle a debate about how good Carmelo Anthony could be at the height of his powers. He was the best version of a classic wing scorer with a modern twist. He was the guy who could make 7 threes and then post for 6 straight trips. He was the guy who could walk into Miami and calmly put 50 on the board without living in the paint. When people bring up the list of modern scorers, you think about LeBron and Durant and Kobe and James Harden. You should also think about the 2012-2013 Melo tape. It's a masterclass in creating and making shots that everyone in the gym knows are coming. It's a season where the numbers and the eye test shake hands. If you go back and watch the big games, you can still feel how impossible those contests looked for the defender who had to stare at that jab step and living mid-range.